Good evening and welcome to the Wilson County Museum's in Fredonia. My name is Leanne Githens and we are here tonight going to be talking about the Fredonia Marble Works. We are just a couple of days away from Memorial Day and Memorial Day weekend, when for many of us it's a time when we visit the cemeteries and leave flowers or some sort of remembrance of our loved ones who have passed. And so some of you may be wondering, well, where did the monuments come from? Did all of those monuments come from out of town, or were they actually made here? Were they shipped in? So that's the topic we're going to be talking about tonight. There is a really interesting history to me. So the first newspaper account of marble works in a local newspaper was of the Pioneer Marble Works of Independence in 1877. But it wasn't very much later, it's in April 5 of 1878, that the Wilson County Citizen had this notice: Marble Works, Fredonia is coming up and will have the first marble works established in the Fall River Valley. An institution of this kind will be opened for business in the Ball Building on the south side of the square, about the 15th of this month, by Moody and Clymer of Fort Scott, who are marble workers and dealers of experience. Their advertisement will be found in another column under the head of special notices. And indeed it was. In that same newspaper, it says special notices, Fredonia Marble Works. And you may be wondering, well, did they only produce monuments? No, they didn't. Tombstones, corner posts, statuary, mantels, tabletops, bureau and countertops of the best American and Italian marble and of original and beautiful designs. Our rate will be as low as those of any marble works in southern Kansas, and we solicit a share of the patronage of the people of Wilson and adjoining counties. Moody and Clymer, on the south side of the public square in Fredonia. This was 1878. Well, it was just a year later that Mr. Moody left the Fredonia Marble Works, and then shortly after that there was a gentleman named C.L. Stambach that joined them. And here's an advertisement when Mr. Stambach joined. Clymer and Company, Fredonia Marble Works. Well, the next business to come along was Southern Kansas Marble Works. And they did have a presence here in Fredonia, but only for a short period of time. I don't believe it was longer than about a year, maybe even less than a year. And that business dissolved. That business partnership of several gentlemen dissolved. But then the notice came in the Wilson County Citizen, February 21, 1890. Prangy Brothers Proprietors, Fredonia Marble Works, dealers in foreign and American granite and marble monuments, headstones, and tablets. Give us a call. We will give you the best of terms. All work promptly executed in first-class style. 1 block south of the public square, Prangy Brothers. And they did indeed start a rather vigorous advertising campaign. April 8, 1892, in the Wilson County Citizen. This is their ad. Decoration Day. It is less than 2 months till Decoration Day. Now is the time to fulfill your long-deferred promise and intention to erect over the grave of your loved one a suitable monument. Am prepared to execute orders promptly and furnish designs and estimates. S.P. Prangy, Fredonia Marble Works. So keep in mind, this is April 8, beginning of April, and so within about 2 months, you could place your order and have your monument in the cemetery. I would suggest that if you have not placed your order more than 2 months ahead of time, you might have difficulty getting that in place. But certainly in that time, that was possible to have that delivered that quickly. It wasn't very long before the Prangys really established a strong reputation for quality work. Here is an account in a letter from a local resident noting the location of the Fredonia Marble Works. This is in the Alliance Herald, May 22, 1896. Quote, "In all probability," continued Uncle Josh, "you young people will survive me, and in that event I now take the precaution to request that you buy my headstone from S.P. Prangy of the Fredonia Marble Works. He always uses the best of material in his work, and I know from experience that he does the neatest and best work at the most satisfactory prices of any firm in this part of the county. His shop and office is located one door south of the Wilson County Bank." So I have a picture of the front of that building. And you will see that it says Marble Works, Fredonia Marble Works, and right adjacent to that it says Harness and Saddlery. Well, the Fredonia Marble Works shop was located at this period of time when the Prangys had it. It was located where the present Paradise restaurant is. And I have an advertisement, and they call themselves a Twin Mound Marble Works. And I have a photograph of S.P. Prangy, otherwise known as Silas Pell Prangy. And just a little side note, sometimes when I'm doing research here at the museum, I come across names that are familiar to me or that I think, well, man, I wonder if there's some family connection. And this is a case where, yes, there is indeed a family connection personally for me. Let's see if I can get this straight. S.P. Prangy was related to my husband's grandmother. It was my husband's grandmother, Vera Brady Hess, and it was her sister's father-in-law. So that's a little, I might have to draw you a map to follow all that, but definitely a personal connection there. So we have had a recommendation from Uncle Josh for the Marble Works, and then there is quite a lengthy glowing recommendation and report in the Citizen in May 12 of 1899. Fredonia Marble Works, perfectly equipped and intelligently conducted. S.P. Prangy, proprietor. There's no spot on earth more sacred to man, whatever his civilization, than that sheltering the dust of departed loved ones. And herein is found the reason why so much attention and such vast sums of money are expended in beautifying and rendering attractive our cities of the dead. Yet how desolate would seem these burying grounds without the marble monuments. The offices of friendship and affection owed to the departed are not discharged when their remains have been consigned to the earth amid the solemnities which such occasions require. There are other duties that we owe them, which, if neglected, will seriously reflect upon our character as individuals and our piety as Christians. To give them Christian burial is simply duty to cherish and perpetuate their memory in imperishable marble and granite, our works of esteem. The most beautifully kept and attractive places on earth are some of our cemeteries, and what a manifestation of love, regard, respect, and memory this fact attests. There is a desire implanted in all human bosoms to be remembered by the living when they shall sleep in the dust. None are indifferent whether they have or have not a place in the affections of those whom they love. There can be no expenditure of labor or of means that will more richly compensate mankind than that which is bestowed upon the last resting places of the departed. It is abundantly manifest from the many testimonials of undying affection which adorn many cemeteries that interesting associations are kept alive, that kind feelings are fostered, and that the most tender recollections are retained in the minds of the living. The language of the heart is eloquently expressed by the figures of the Lamb, the guardian angel, the rosebud and half-blown flower, broken from the parent stem and fallen to the earth, also the lily separated from its stalk, as fresh and white as though it had just dropped. Again, we behold the well-filled urn, the broken shaft, the anchor, the shield, the wreath of oak and ivy, and wreath of flowers and cross, appropriate and significant symbols, speaking the language of affection, regret, and hope from living and loving hearts. Against expenditure in honor of the dead, heaven has uttered no prohibition, and earth is not injured, but beautified by them. The adorning of the sepulchres of loved ones alleviates grief and soothes the wounded heart. Since 1882, the Fredonia Marble Works has acquired a well-nigh state reputation for excellence of taste and reliability in monument work. It was established by Clymer and Prange, who were succeeded in 1891 by S.V. Prange, a brother of one of the founders of the business. Always well equipped, the facilities for promptness and superior work have grown as the business aged, and today it is recognized generally as the leading marble works in this section of the state. A large stock of the finest foreign and domestic marble and granite is carried, and innumerable designs of shafts, headstones, and tablets are exhibited to select from. It is not alone locally that orders are filled. Shipments are made anywhere. Mr. S.P. Prange, the courteous proprietor, is endowed with a rare talent of marble carving and personally executes many orders. He was born in Davis County, Kentucky, coming to Wilson County in May of 1870, where he has since continually resided. Since boyhood, Mr. Prange has been associated either in the employ or as proprietor of these marble works, and no man in Fredonia is more favorably known. Anyone contemplating the erection of a monument or tablet to whom a visit to the works is inconvenient will receive a call on receipt of a letter or postal card. One of the things that I just love about that newspaper account is that it really does capture a lot of the sentiment that was held back then about visiting cemeteries and honoring the dead, but also sentiments that are still felt very strongly today, and many of the reasons that cemeteries are important to many people. Well, that account was in 1899, and interestingly enough, the next year, February 23, 1900, in the Alliance Herald, monuments. I have purchased the marble works of S.P. Prange and am prepared to furnish monuments and tombstones. And this is L. Bachman. So, Mr. Prange, after that glowing review, sold his business. Then I came across an account of a statuary that came direct from Carrara, Italy, made of real white Carrara marble, and it was placed in the Viola Cemetery. This is from the Fredonia Daily Herald, June 10, 1909. I have not visited the cemetery in Vilas, but I would be very curious to know if that statue can still be found. There is a description, quite a nice description of it. The figure is a girl leaning slightly forward as if to throw the flower she is holding in her right hand upon a grave below. In the left hand is a wreath of lilies of the valley. The statue proper is 5 1/2 feet high, but the whole monument, including the base, will exceed 10 feet in height. Mr. Romberger is very proud of the work, as it is something out of the ordinary for this part of the country. So Mr. Romberger was the proprietor of the Chanute Marble Works. He says the transportation alone amounted to almost $50, and then to that must be added a duty of 30%. The monument is to be erected in the Vilas Cemetery in memory of George White, who was accidentally shot about a year ago while hunting in that neighborhood. Mrs. White is the daughter of A.M. Anderson of near Vilas. She and her husband were attending a family reunion at the time the accident happened. Okay, what do we have next? let's see, in 1917, we're kind of skipping ahead here in time. January 26, 1917, B.E. Ladow will build a brick one-story structure on his lots just west of the Lowther Hotel soon, the same to be occupied by the Fredonia Marble Works. The building will be 40 by 20 feet and will be located on the lot at the east end of the Ladow land next to the alley. Now, some of you may know where that Lowther Hotel was, and it was at the same location as the Fredonia current location of the Fredonia Post Office. So the Fredonia Marble Works now is moving to a different location in the 400 block of Madison. And in fact, a couple of months after that account, in March, it says Marble Works to occupy the new quarters. B.E. Ladow is having a 40 by 20 foot one-story brick building erected on his lots just back of the Lowther Hotel, which when finished will be occupied by the Fredonia Marble Works. So there were changes afoot. And there are other owners or proprietors of the Fredonia Marble Works. This ad mentions J.H. Peterson, proprietor. So this came along a little bit later. And you can tell from the style of the clothing of those two people in the ad that this would be a little bit later than, say, the 1890s. And this one is also from J.H. Peterson. And lastly, I want to share a notice that was in the Fredonia Daily Herald, March 20 of 1923. And it really exemplifies how far the reach was of the Fredonia Marble Works companies, no matter who the proprietors were. The headline says, lands $50,000 contract. Local stoneworking firm to work at Winfield. Messrs. Bell and Dilling returned to Fredonia today from Winfield, where they have been bidding on stonework for the Southwestern College. The gentlemen announced today that they had been successful and had landed a contract amounting to over $50,000 to cut the stone for the new building to be erected there, work to start within 2 weeks. The Fredonia Marble Works will be managed by Mrs. Bell during the absence of her husband. The family of Mr. Dilling will also be moved to Fredonia to make their future home. And so that's a little bit of the history of the monument companies, the Fredonia Marble Works company that was here in Fredonia for many, many years. And of course, I'm sure most of you are aware that you can still purchase monuments through the local funeral homes, but it certainly is a time to think and remember and honor our loved ones in whatever way seems appropriate to you. Thanks for joining us. I hope you've enjoyed this little presentation.